2023 here in today's knife therapy. I have the Civivi knives Clavi. This is another Ostap Hel design. Comes in at $61 in this configuration, or you can get it in G10 for $59. There are three different variations. This one with the green burlap micarta and a blasted blade. You can also get it in a blackwash blade with purple G10 scales. Or you can also get it with a murdered out blackwash blade, black G10 scales. So let's get some quick specs out of the way so you have an idea of the size of the knife. Total length of 6.87 inches, so it's a medium to smaller knife. You have a blade length of 3.06 inches, so a nice full-size blade. A grip area from here all the way to the back, 3.53 inches. A handle scale thickness from here to here of 0.41 inches, so it's super thin. Closed width in the pocket, 0.72 inches, very thin in this dimension as well. Blade stock thickness, keeping that thinness going at 0.090. And the behind the edge thickness on my particular knife is around 16,000, sharpened at 22 degrees per side. When I first got the knife, it kind of reminded me of another Ostap Hel design. The Metamorph, this is the Metamorph Compact. Except you have the upswept on this one. This one has that nice aggressive warny on it. Now let's take a closer look at this. You have, like I said, a nice aggressive warny right there with a bead blasted finish. Mine looks a little rough. We'll talk about that later. Got a nice top swedge that goes all the way down to that tip and gives you a very, very needle-like point right there for penetrating and for digging splinters out. I mean, this thing is very, very needle-like. Very pokey-pokey. The blade steel is Nitro V, and Nitro V is a good budget steel. I prefer 14C28N, but Nitro V is good. You have a small row of jimping here. It's not too functional. I'd give it medium traction there. Doesn't really grip onto the thumb at all for me. Not something I really worry about though. You do have a really good sharpening choil back here. That should give you a good bit of sharpening life before it starts to widen up in the back. You have a high full flat grind. That comes down to a nice thin edge. I think all there is left to do is see how well it performs. Out of box, it came with a decent edge, but it has excellent blade geometry, nice thin blade stock, so it's passing through the cardboard very, very nicely. Just doesn't feel like it has a whole lot of bite, but we'll see later down the road. I really was kind of surprised to how much I was enjoying using this knife. It's not my favorite aesthetically, but it has a good role for me at least. This is really where I think this blade shines, kind of like a folding X-Acto knife. You can get very, very precise, detailed cuts. If you have to do, you know, some artwork for your daughter's class or something, or, you know, cutting stencils out, something like that. It has a very precise tip on it. That Warncliffe makes it really narrow in that section, and that pencil grip is nice and comfortable with this knife. The handle scales were comfortable for, you know, being a flat scale knife. The front part of the edge, it's okay. It's doing its job. I think after sharpening it, it would perform a lot better. Hopefully it just lasts the rest of the test. Now we're going to test the ergos out and how well the edge is biting. Even though this is definitely not the first tool I grabbed to do this kind of work, it can be done. No hot spots. Thankfully, they didn't put a deep carry clip on here, because that would have definitely caused a hot spot on that narrow handle. But, you know, if you need to do some fine work like this, you could do it. I definitely had to be holding it in the saber grip so that handle didn't want to twist in the hand. Once again, you know, the drag cuts on a flat surface is really going to excel with the knife. One thing that I noticed really quick, I mean, it's a warning. I had a feeling it would be like this, but it was definitely harder to do raised cuts like that, because every time I was making the cuts on the tubing like this and other tubing and the cardboard, that tip wanted to bury into the wood immediately. So you'd either have to raise it up on something thinner to cut on, or maybe cut on the edge of like a table or something. It's just not, Warnies are just not the best for that. I'm having to cut it, you know, in a different manner to get through it. I dug some nice holes into the to the wood board. Now this is where I noticed the knife has no bite to it. It's kind of slipping off of it, at least for the denim. After the testing, I'll put a fresh edge on it, and it'll probably be my basketball shorts carry. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed that cutting. Now let's take a look at the deployment and the action. Now this is a front flipper. Got jimping there. It does stick up past the top of the scales. You can do the reach around very easily. It's got a good detent. Now being a thin and lightweight blade, is not going to drop freely. I can easily, you know, do the regular front flip. Definitely has a good action to it. You know, like I said, I'm not always the best at the front flippers, but this one, I can do it reliably every single time. It is riding on ceramic ball bearings and a ceramic detent ball as well. Now let's close it up and take a look at these handle scales. You have this green burlap micarta. I don't really love this one. Now they sent this one to me to review, so I didn't really have a say on which one I was getting or anything. But I don't like this one aesthetically because of the green burlap and the blasted blade. If I would have bought one, it would have probably been the purple and the black, or the black on black. I thought those looked the best. You have a countersunk pivot. It's a Civivi branded pivot. It is flush with the scales. You have a cutout for a left-handed carry, tip up, and it's also tip up right-hand carry. Very nice screws. Look how crisp those screws are. Very, very nice. T8 screws on the body screws, clip screws, and the pivot. Well, the body screws are this back clip screws. So very, very minimal hardware. You have a hidden lanyard post in the back right here because they really couldn't have put anything else. I'm glad. Now it's not contour, but you have these deep chamfers on both sides that give it a contoured effect. Now they went with just a plain Jane bent pod clip. It's not deep carry, but I'm very glad they didn't put a deep carry on here, because my experience with something this thin, they would have put a deep carry clip on there, I would have probably felt it. At least the ones they use, because they stick up a little bit higher. So I think that was the best idea for the thinner scales. I mainly carried it in my basketball shorts, and it went in and out nicely. I totally forget I would even have it on basketball shorts. That's what you have sticking out. You know, it's a little more than I like sticking out, but it does make it very easy to get a hold of this knife and pull it out. Your jeans, if you have the micarta, it's going to kind of grab it a little bit, but it's not, you know, too hard to pull out or anything. All right, now let's take a look at the inside. You have inset stainless steel liners that don't have any lightning pockets in there. Now for a quick weight, first off, in grams, 44.6 grams. 1.57 ounces. Wow, that's impressive. All right, let's take a look at the lockup. Mine is sitting at around, I'd say 50% or so. You know, no up and down whatsoever. I can flex, of course. I could almost flex this blade side to side, but you know, you don't want to be doing hard use with that. So I think the lock's perfectly fine. Your access is nice. They got a little cutout here, and a little cutout in the inside right there. This sticks up just perfect. I can easily get my finger in there, no problem whatsoever. Now for some quick size comparisons, we have the Real Steel Compact Metamorph and the Boker Kaizen. Very, very similar in overall feel and size to the Kaizen. The Compact Metamorph is just a hair longer. Next up, we have the Boken Quaken Air and the CJRB Mini Centros. The Mini Centros is probably the best size reference in these two. You have a little bit more blade length in the Mini Centros, but you have more handle in the Centros. And of course, the Quaken Air dwarfs it. Lastly, we have the Ontario Rat Model 2 and the Civivi Elementum. The Elementum's about identical in overall length. The Rat 2 is a little bit longer, but you have more cutting edge than the Rat 2. All right, now for my nitpicks and complaints. First up, we'll start with the bead blast. This is one reason why I don't like the bead blast. As you can see, as you use it, it starts to rub the blast material off, and that's from, I'm pretty sure it's just cutting the cardboard. I just don't like that. And then it leaves it open for corrosion. Never good. And not a real big fan of this exact micarta. I'd much rather they're black done like this. I don't know. It just looks a little funny. It looks funny there. It looks like a bunch of seeds. Overall, I think it's a good, discreet gents carry knife, an office carry knife. This is a great, letter opener. If you need to break open a box, you can penetrate a decent bit. I took a Coke can. I thought I had it on video, but I must not have recorded it. I took a Coke can and just kind of popped it in there, and it didn't do any damage to the tip whatsoever. So, I mean, even though it is a dainty tip, I think it can handle some, just forward motion. You don't want to put it in there and pry it all. It will snap it. So, overall thoughts, I think it's a good knife. If you're looking for a super lightweight carry, very discreet, minimalistic type of knife, then I think this is a good little option. And I'd love to hear y'all thoughts and opinions of the Clavi. If you have one or if you plan on picking one up, definitely let me know down in the comments. All right, guys and girls, I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I'll leave links to the Clavi down below in the description. Civivi also has a Black Friday sale that's already started, depending on when you watch this video. I'll have all that information down in the description as well also. All right, guys and girls, I will see y'all on the next one.